When we define a function, part of that definition is the declaration of how many arguments should be passed in or how many parameters the function should have. For example, here we're defining a function called currency amount, and we're saying it has two parameters, one called currency and one called amount. The fact that those words match the name of the function is just a coincidence. They could be anything. Then, to call the function that we defined, we must supply exactly the number of arguments that the function needs to run, or in other words, we must have an argument for every parameter. What happens if we don't? Here we see we're trying to call the function called currency amount, but we're only giving it one value, the number 5. But as we saw in our function definition, currency amount expects two values for its two parameters, currency and amount. So what happens? Well, the program runs lines 1 and 2 just fine. It still creates the function called currency amount, and then it skips the function body until it's needed, and then it runs lines 12 and 13. Line 13 generates this error, as given it's on line 13. And the error is listed as a type error. The explanation given is that the function currency amount is missing one required positional argument. Let's dissect that phrase. Missing simply means that there was an argument that it needed that wasn't received. One required confirms that. It's one required argument. Positional distinguishes it from something we'll see later. It means that these arguments are given their values based on the order in which they are put into the function call. That's what positional means. And then finally it tells us which argument was missing, which will always just be the last one or few arguments. Notice also that even if this had run, the wrong value would have been put in for currency. We called the function with the argument 5, but by default it will be put into the first parameter. That's why even though we recognize that 5 would be the amount, the program says that amount is the argument that was missing. So it throws up an error.